When I close my eyes and think back to where it all began, my mind always drifts to Ketu in Lagos. The crowded streets, the sound of buses honking at dawn, the smell of roasted corn by the roadside, and the noisy chatter of traders calling out prices. That was my home. That was where my life as a young woman, and later as a mother, truly began. My name is Amarachi Okafor, and this is the story of how I left the only world I knew, carrying my little boy in my arms, to start over in a place that felt both strange and beautiful, Ottawa, Canada. Back then in Ketu, life was not easy. My son, Chidra, was only 4 years old when his father, Emeka, walked away from us. No explanations. No goodbye. Just silence where there used to be laughter. The weight of that betrayal nearly crushed me, but motherhood has a way of teaching you strength you never knew you had. I remember nights in Alakpur when Nipa would take light and I would sit with a candle, watching Chidra sleep, my tears dripping silently as I whispered prayers. I begged God for a way out. For a chance to give my boy a better life. Then came an opportunity. A friend of mine, Ngotsi, called me one afternoon while I was helping her sell okra fabrics in her shop. She whispered, "Amora, I know someone who can help you process papers to travel to Canada. Ottawa. It is not cheap, but it is real." My heart pounded. Canada. It sounded like another universe. I had only seen it in movies. Snow, tall buildings, wide roads without potholes. I wanted to laugh, but deep down something told me this was the answer to my prayers. The journey to get my visa was filled with suspense. Every day I went to the Canadian Embassy in Victoria Island, clutching documents, praying under my breath. The waiting rooms were always cold from the air conditioners, and my heart would shiver even more than my body. I feared rejection. I feared that all my hopes would collapse. But then one morning, holding Chidra by the hand, I opened an envelope and saw those words, "Approved." I fell to my knees right there in our small Alakpur apartment, crying tears of relief. Neighbors rushed in, thinking something terrible had happened. But no. Something miraculous had happened. The day we boarded the plane at Murtala Muhammad International Airport, my entire body trembled. Chidra clung to me, asking if the plane would fall from the sky. I smiled at him and said, "No, my son. We are flying toward our future." When we landed in Ottawa, the cold slapped me harder than any insult I had ever received. It was February. Snowflakes fell like tiny stars, and Chidra squealed with delight. I, on the other hand, shook so much I could barely hold his hand. But in that icy wind, I knew I had stepped into a new chapter. Life in Ottawa was not what I expected. At first, it was lonely. Back home, neighbors would always greet you, children ran up and down the compound, women gathered to gist in the evenings. But here, in our small basement apartment in Vanier, the silence was loud. The walls were white, the air smelled strange, and I could not hear the voices of home. I had to take any job I could find. Cleaning offices downtown, working overnight shifts in a nursing home, sometimes 3 jobs at once. I would return at dawn, my body aching, but seeing Chidra smile as he hugged me made every pain worth it. Yet amidst the struggles, something unexpected happened. I met Obinna, another Nigerian who had been in Ottawa for 5 years. He was tall, with a quiet confidence and eyes that seemed to see through my walls. We met at a small African grocery store in Byward Market. I was looking for okra to make soup, and he laughed gently when I could not find the right kind. He helped me carry my bags that day, and somehow he kept showing up, checking in, making sure Chidra and I were doing well. At first, I resisted. I told myself I did not need romance, that men were nothing but heartbreak. But Obinna was different. He did not try to fill the silence with promises. He showed up with small kindnesses, fixing a broken chair in my apartment, teaching Chidra how to skate on the frozen Rideau Canal, reminding me to rest when I pushed myself too hard. It was in those quiet moments, watching him tie Chidra's scarf or hearing his laughter echo in my kitchen as we cooked egusi soup together, that my heart began to heal. But of course, life is never that simple. One day, as I came home from work, I found an envelope waiting at the door. It was a notice from immigration. My permit had issues, and unless I could resolve them, I risked being sent back to Nigeria. My knees buckled. Ottawa suddenly felt colder than ever. Obinna held me as I cried, whispering, "You will not be alone in this. We will fight this together." And he meant it. He walked with me through every meeting with lawyers, every letter, every fearful night. His strength became my strength. Months later, I stood in that same office where my fate had felt uncertain, holding a permanent resident card in my hand. I looked at Chidra, now 6, his eyes shining with pride, and I whispered, "We did it." Today, as I sit in our modest Ottawa home, sipping tea while snow falls outside, I look back at Ketu, at the girl who once cried under candlelight, and I hardly recognize her. That girl became this woman. Stronger. Wiser. Braver. My story is not just about survival. It is about faith, resilience, and the kind of love that finds you when you least expect it. To every mother listening right now, I want to ask you, what sacrifices have you made for your children, and would you do it all over again? Please share your story in the comments below. And if this journey touched you, remember to like, share, and subscribe so more mothers can find hope in stories like mine.